Hi, my name is Coreen Zalot. I am with Arizona Metro News, and we are going to be having a great conversation today with Matt Moorer, who is coming to us from Black Diamond Legacy. He will be talking to us today about how to revive the local businesses. Please welcome Matt Moorer to the show. Hi, Matt.
Hi, how are you?
Good. Welcome to the show. How are you?
Absolutely, I'm doing awesome. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, thank you for being here. So the name of your business is Black Diamond Legacy?
Yes, that's kind of my brand that I was thinking of years ago. So just kind of ran with it ever since.
Okay, great. And from what I understand, you do strategic planning and financial planning and help people get their businesses up and running. And I mean, certainly in today's economic situation, it's a very needed resource. How is that going for you?
Yeah, absolutely. So I typically what I do is I help people get clear on where they want to go in their life, right? So obviously my business is called Black Diamond Legacy. So I believe that leaving a legacy for future generations is extremely important. So yeah, during the obviously we're kind of in a little bit of a downturn, but the biggest wealth is created in downturns. So I think for people that are entrepreneurial spirited, this is the perfect time to start putting things together.
That's awesome. So what is it like? What would be one of the, if somebody were to start their new entrepreneurial endeavors, what would be one of the first recommendations you would make for them in getting this started?
Great question. So what I typically do is I have people when I meet with them, I usually do a free strategy call with them first, and I have them make a list of skills that they have because I think everyone has built or developed skills over their lifetime that can be monetized, whether it's a skill that you can do, something you do very well, whether it's a passion of yours. Because at the end of the day, entrepreneurship is nothing more than solving problems for profit, right? So once they know what they're good at, then the next step is to figure out what problem can I solve in the marketplace. And once you do that, then it's just a matter of executing from there. So an example would be I have a client. I call them students because I like to coach and mentor, but we'll just call her a client. But she just had her first baby back in February. She's in her early 20s, not working, has no support. So she has an incredible voice. So what I recommended to her was you can read audiobooks, and then you can either sell the book, it's the audio recording of you reading an audiobook, or you can put your videos on YouTube for free and start building an audience around that, right? So that's exactly what she did. She actually created a meditation for people with anxiety and who have trouble sleeping, and she sells it for I think $25. And last time I spoke to her, she's getting sales every day. She now has a Facebook group with about 60 people in there that eventually, as she starts to grow her audience, if she wants to have a subscription service or a membership site, she can do that. So I think if we really are honest about our skill sets and being able to actually find a problem those skill sets can fit into, that's basically what a business is, solving problems.
Right. That's awesome. Do you have a sense of, there are some people right now who have already had, there are small businesses that might be getting affected by everything that's been going on. They might
Mhm.
be more customer service and hands-on kind of thing. And it seems like with the environment that we're in today, we are shifting gears a little bit, less personal interaction and sort of more
Right.
digital. Do you have any wisdom or insights that you'd like to share around making that shift?
Yeah, I think it's important that we, as entrepreneurs, I think we have to know who our audience is, and more importantly, where they're at. Um, every mentor I've ever had and every business partner I've ever had, once they stopped trying to appease everybody and they started focusing on their niche and their tribe, they made way more money, even though they were serving a smaller amount of people. So I think with businesses now, they need to be very clear with who is our customer and where is our customer at. Is our customer on, obviously, with everything that's going on right now, everybody's on social media now, right? Most people are spending way more time on most of the bigger social media platforms. So are there customers on Facebook? Are there customers on Instagram? Is it YouTube? Where are their customers at? And then what's the best way to start reaching those customers, right? Because not everyone is going to be in the same place. We all communicate differently. The way I teach my clients is you still want to be on every platform, because if you and your brand are an island, every social media platform you're in is going to be a bridge leading back to you. But you still want to focus mostly on where your customers are.
Right. I love that. So do you have a have you ever heard of Simon Sinek? Is that his
Oh
name?
yeah, absolutely. I love Simon Sinek.
Yeah. So do you have a sense of what your why is? Because that's one of the big messages for him, is that people fall in love with not so much what you do, but why you do it. And I'm just curious
Yeah.
if you have that connection. What's your passion for doing this and helping people in this?
Oh, that is a great question, and that's a deep question. I would say two things. One, I grew up loving movies. Like, I almost went to film school. I've written, screenplays, back when I was looking at going to film school. So, I love movies. I love storytelling. I grew up loving superheroes. I love Superman. I love the Batman. So I've always had, even as a kid, the sense of wanting to help and save people, but not necessarily wearing a cape and stuff. I think that'd be really super cool. Um, but as I got older and I got into, adulthood, I was able to, if anyone that's ever read the book Rich Dad Poor Dad, I actually was blessed to have a rich dad. His name was David. He was a multimillionaire, and he, mentored and coached me on principles of success and mentorship and so on and so forth. And it was last year, January, February, where I realized that, when I met David, he was in his 50s. He's from Montana, I think Whitefish, Montana. He grew up on a 10,000 acre cattle ranch. I was a 22, 21-year-old kid working at Blockbuster Video, again, because I love movies. The amount of serendipities that had to happen for those two people to actually meet is, David was an engineer. He could probably tell you the actual percentage of, the chance of that happening. But I realized that David had a mentor, and David's mentor had a mentor, and so on. So, on back. So 200 years ago, somebody helped somebody who helped somebody who helped somebody, that allowed me, a 22-year-old kid, to have a multimillionaire mentor. Right. And so last year, I really started focusing on paying it forward, if that makes sense. I know it sounds really corny, and we hear about it all the time. Oh, if I just reach that one person, but a single match can burn down a building, right? One person that catches your vision can reach hundreds of thousands of people that I could never reach. And it's very possible that 400 years from now, somebody's life has changed because of the things I'm doing now, because of the ripple effect. And I don't know, it really caught my heart last year, knowing that I may not see the fruits of my labor now, but just knowing that hundreds of years from now, somebody's life might be completely changed or altered because I lit that single match that, echoed through history.
It just sounds like you're just really passionate about being a contribution to humanity.
Yeah, absolutely. I think even if I look back as a kid, I was like that as a kid. And then having David as a mentor, I remember I eventually moved from Phoenix, Arizona. I'm a native Phoenician. I moved from here up to Portland, Oregon, and he actually drove from Seattle to Portland, Oregon to do a business meeting for me. And no one actually showed up. So, for the next 2.5 hours, he just mentored me and coached me. And, he was just a good friend and father figure for me. And, he didn't get paid to drive 5 hours down to Portland to help me. Like, he did that because he saw something in me. He believed in me enough to want to invest his time and money into making me a better person. And so the examples I've had through, and not just him, but other mentors I've had, they've always just been very, I'm going to invest into you because I see something in you. I see greatness in you. And that definitely struck me to the point where that's what I do. I want to pay it forward. Everything that's been given to me, I try to pay it forward as much as I can, because to whom much is given, much is required.
Right. Oh, I love that. Okay. So, because everybody really kind of is struggling right now, I mean, a lot of businesses have had to close up shop. Some people are, they've just lost everything. If you're interacting with somebody, or if you were coaching with somebody or strategizing with somebody right now who was kind of wavering on that fence of barely hanging on,
Yeah.
what might be something that you would advise them or be able to encourage them to keep their doors open, keep them up and running?
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's important that we are continuously learning and building new skill sets. So for me personally, I think that the most important skill sets that you can learn, um, excuse me, and I have a 6-year-old son. He'll be 7 on Saturday. I'm teaching my son these same skill sets, so they're important enough for me to want to pass them down to my kids. But sales, most people don't learn how to sell. They make sales, but they don't understand sales. But sales, marketing, traffic generation. So being able to generate traffic. Again, that goes back to where's your audience at and how does your audience like to be in touch with you. A friend of mine would say trading because he's a Forex trader, but I would say maybe even copywriting. You have to learn a new skill set, because if you have the skill set, it doesn't matter what the economy is doing, doesn't matter what your business is doing. If you know how to market, you know how to generate business, it doesn't matter what's going on in the economy, it doesn't matter what's going on in your physical business. You'll be able to adapt and change. I had a conversation earlier today with a super awesome gentleman, and we're talking about Billie Jean. And Billie Jean is known for being a marketer, and he just so happens to live in an area where his business was vandalized because of the riots and everything that's going on right now. So he made a video of himself in front of his business that was just vandalized. Like, he's adapting to his situation. Even though his business is closed, he can still be a marketer. He can still be a salesman. He's still making sales, albeit in a different way, even though his business is technically, his office is closed, right? So I think as marketers and as entrepreneurs, we have to learn how to pick up new skill sets. We can't always just rely on what's gotten us to where we're at.
Okay. So it sounds like not really resting on your laurels, but, just constantly
Exactly.
looking to improve.
Right.
And does it make sense? I mean, clearly if I'm, a doctor, I wouldn't go out and get a new skill set in, masonry or something. It would be, so when you're saying develop more skills, it sounds like you're saying skill sets that tie into like what you're already kind of doing, you think, or?
Exactly. So great example. If you are a doctor or a mason, you already have a skill set that you can create an ebook, and you can sell an ebook for $1 or $2, right? You can, like, a lot of people already have skill sets that they can already use, and now you need to learn. Okay, I have a skill set. I'm a doctor. I've created like, I just wrote an ebook. I should finish it today. Power affirmations for kids. Like, it didn't take me very long to make that. It's just affirmations that I have my son do, every day. So you already have the skill sets. Now you need to learn, okay, and now how do I market these skill sets? How do I sell these skill sets? How do I start building an audience around what I just created? So if you're a doctor, if you're a gardener, if you're a baker, there's things that you can create that you can start building an audience around. But now you need to learn the skill set of, okay, I just created an ebook on recipes. Do I want to sell my ebook directly, or do I want to give it out free and start building an audience of people? And then maybe after a month or two, have a subscription service where I give out recipes every week or every day I give a new recipe, right? Because if you have 1,000 people and you're charging them 2,000 or $2 a month for access to you, that's $4,000 of residual income, right? That's coming in every month. You're doing something that you love. You're giving value to your tribe, and now you have residual income. It takes the financial pressure off of, the day to day of having, where is my business going to go?
Okay. So the one last question, well, I've got two last questions, but the first one is like, what would be the first 3 steps to take to be successful right now with zero capital? So if I'm like me, I've got zero capital and I want to start a new business, are there 3 steps that I or somebody could take to get things going?
Ooh, that's a good question. So I would say be very clear about where you want your business to go. So for instance, I like residual income. I don't want to have to like build something over and over and over again. So for me, when I'm looking at, okay, if I want to start a new business, now am I able to make this something where I can eventually step away and just have, income coming in? That's my focus. So I would say number 1, what's your purpose in the business? What's the problem you're going to be solving? Because if you are trying to take your square solution or product and you're trying to smash it into a round market that doesn't need or want it, like Simon Sinek says, you need to start with your why. Mm-hmm. So I think that's the most important step. What's your why, and what problem are you solving? Step 2, I think you need to list out maybe ooh, that's such a good question. I wasn't expecting that question.
You're welcome. No.
That's thought provoking. I do think number 1 is you do need to start at the end. I think with whether it's a fitness goal, a relationship goal, a business goal, I think you always do need to start at the end of, where do I want to end up at? Where do I want this to be, 5 years from now? And then start working your way backwards from there. Instead of starting at the front and working to the end, start from the end and work backwards. Step number 2, I would say you need to decide on how you want your business to operate. Is it going to be an online only business? Are you going to have a physical, a physical brick and mortar type business? I've given a few examples of, you can have an ebook, you can sell that directly, or you can have like a subscription service. Like, you can always pivot later on, but I still think you need to have an idea of where do you want your business to, what kind of business do you want? Like right now, I mostly do one-on-one meetings with people. I have kind of a mentor on demand program where people basically, for the time period that we're working together, they can reach out and use my brain during that time period, depending on what their goals are. Eventually, though, I will have more of a subscription type service where people will have access to me. We do group coaching, but I already kind of have a map out of where I want my business to go, right? And then third, I would say, if you can, try to find a mentor that's in that space, not necessarily one that you can work with one-on-one. I have a new client coming on that wants to do what's called, not necessarily a mortuary for pets, but what do you call it? Cremation for pets. Now, there's not a lot of businesses out there. So some of her questions she was answering, or she was asking, it's like, I don't have any experience in that field, but I know that there's tons of businesses like that already around the country. Reach out to small business owners, like when you ask them questions, because we like to teach, we like to train, right? We like when people ask us for help. So the third step I'd say is find a mentor, or at least find someone that's already done what you've done and try to duplicate their success habits. You may not be able to duplicate exactly step by step what they did to build their business, but there are going to be nuggets within what they're telling you. First, I did this, then I did this. There's gold in being able to follow someone else through a minefield.
Right. Okay. All right. So then where can people find you? People are going to want to talk to you and get your help. So where can they find you?
So I do a lot of my business on Facebook. The reason I do that is I like people to actually see who I am. It helps me to build rapport and trust with people. They can see through my posts, they can see my pictures, they can see my interaction with my son. So my business Facebook page is just facebook.com/Matt Moore official.
Perfect.
And they can follow me through there. My website is just www.mattmoore.com, and that will have my Facebook link on there. They can sign up for a free strategy call with me. I usually book through 30 minutes, but they usually go longer just because we just talk about life and everything else that they want to do. So, but yeah, I try to add value to people where I can.
Right. Wonderful. Well, I can certainly hear that you have a lot of value to offer. So I appreciate you being here today.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, thank you. And wishing you the best of luck. So that is going to end our episode for today. Again, thank you for being here. This is Matt Moore with Black Diamond Legacy. He is a business coach and strategist. So please do look him up and reach out to him. And again, I am Coreen Zalot with Arizona Metro News. I just want to thank you all for being here today and have a wonderful day.